That's great. 50.
Hello, everybody who's here. Welcome to our 4th town hall on Moving Projects Forward, Part 2, Permits and Inspections. We're going to have some presentations today, and if you have questions, we will answer them towards the end of the event. So please, if you go to your bottom, if you're familiar with Zoom, there's a chat function, and you can chat your questions to us, and then we will get to them at the end of the meeting. And this meeting is being recorded. And now I'd like to introduce Cheryl Jacobs.
Hi, everybody. Cheryl Jacobs, Executive Vice President of AIA Miami and the Miami Center for Architecture and Design. And Colleen forgot to introduce herself. Colleen Stovall is our AIA and MCAD Director of Events and Programs. And as everyone else is, we've gone the virtual route. And so I'm very happy to welcome several people from the county, RER, and we're going to start the program with Daphne Gurry. Daphne, AIA. Daphne is a co-founding principal of Gurry Matute and is the AIA Miami president. And then we're going to go to our speakers, and after Daphne speaks to you for just a little bit, I'll introduce our speakers from the county. So Daphne, take it away.
Thank you, Cheryl. And I'd like to say thank you for all of you participating on this phone call today. Clearly, it's unprecedented time to deal with building permits and inspections. So we're very, very grateful to have members from Miami-Dade County's building department today here to share vital information that we need to keep our projects going and for us to be able to inform our clients. A couple of housekeeping things. AIA Miami's office continues to be closed during this time, better safe, and we're following the orders prescribed by Miami-Dade County Mayor Jimenez and the governor. And as things change, we'll update it, and we plan on reopening when it's safe to do so. In the meantime, we've continued to operate remotely, and we are answering emails and phone calls, and we're using this opportunity to allow our members and non-members to send us emails. We welcome your feedback as we want to provide you with valuable information in future town hall meetings. So you can expect to have the same town hall meeting every Wednesday until things open up, and we plan on providing you with additional information, other topics. Some of the topics that you'll hear will be how to conduct business development effectively during COVID-19 and how the universities are working to develop the innovative product that can be used for the medical professionals, as well as other information relating to permitting and design. AIA Miami is here to help you. So we'd also like to remind you that we'll be doing continuing education, which you are required to have completed by the end of this year, 24 health, safety, and welfare credits by the end of the year. So AIA Miami will be offering continuing ed classes every week. We also have a membership survey that we'd like for you to fill out so we can get your feedback on what you need to hear from us. Continue to watch out for our communication, which we're doing 3 times a week. On Mondays, we send an email related to COVID-19 specifically. Every single Wednesday, we have MCAD Moments, which is a electronic newsletter with information about upcoming events, which many of them are now going virtual. And every Friday, we have general updates for our profession. And this does not include the AIA Florida updates, which you also receive if you're a member. Membership value is extremely important to us, and I just want to take a couple minutes to say what AIA Florida specifically, that's located in Tallahassee, has done for our members and for our profession. They've been very strong in providing advocacy for our profession as it relates to protecting our licensed requirements and making sure that our profession doesn't get deregulated. They have been advocates for climate change and sea level rise. They've been advocates for our protecting our qualification-based selection process through the CCNA, as well as many other advocacy issues. So I welcome to you to reach out to AIA Miami. Please answer the survey. Please send us emails. We want to hear from you. Cheryl?
Thanks, Daphne. So also, while you're on, take a minute when you're putting in maybe your questions at the end. If you have ideas for programs that you'd like to see, that would be really terrific. And I also, I see several people have your video on that aren't panelists. And if you wouldn't mind turning that off, because it takes up more bandwidth and makes our projection of our speakers not quite as great. So that would be very helpful. Thank you very much. So let me now go to our terrific panel. Eddie Rojas, who is Assistant Director and Building Official with Construction Permitting and Building Code Division. Gilbert Martin, who is the Building Division Director, Construction Permitting and Building Code Division. And Angelique Bestard, who is Information and Permit Support Division Director. We also have Nathan Kogon, Assistant Director for Development Services Planning Division, and Jerry Bell, Assistant Director for Planning Division. So we're going to start this morning with Eddie. Take it away.
Okay, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, sirree. In your vehicle.
Okay, great. Yeah, so the only place where I can get good reception, I've had technical difficulties today, so bear with me, but yeah, I'm in my truck. But I just wanted to start by thanking AIA Miami for putting this on, this event. I think it's very important for us to have these discussions. I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty right now on process, and we're all working very diligently to try to keep this industry moving, and some vestiges of the economy in the right place. And a lot of efforts gone in, I'm sure, in the private sector as well as us in government. I'd like to thank Ms. Jacobs and Ms. Stovall and Ms. Guri for inviting us. And I'd like to thank all the people participating, taking the time. Your feedback and having this opportunity to share with you is very important to us, so that we can kind of understand how our process may need to change, or how can we improve it moving forward to better serve the construction community. So just a little bit about myself. I was recently appointed. I started on March 1st or March 2nd of this year. And, very unusual thing happened. We get struck with a pandemic, and I go into a frying pan immediately starting, which, was unusual, but it happened. And from the very beginning of this, and as it started to escalate, the mission for the department has always been to try to stay open and figure out a way creatively within our regulations and within our rules to stay open and try to provide a service. As you guys all know, on March 25th of this year, the executive order went out, and the PIC was closed. The PIC being the Permit Center on Coral Way was closed. We had a couple of people who were diagnosed, and it just became too risky to further operate that facility with the amount of people that were accustomed to coming in and the nature of the way we were doing business prior to all this. It put us at risk, so we went into self-quarantine. On March 28th, Executive Order 1420 came out from the mayor, which kind of gave us the ability to get gave us latitude to operate within our normal regulations, but was able to relax some of our policies and our procedures, and relax some of the things that we were accustomed to working under, to be able to accommodate all these changes that we needed to make. in order to be able to still stay open and serve the community. I mean, the idea was to try to move our core functions, which is processing, intake, processing the plans, reviewing the plans, approving those plans, issuing permits, and doing inspections virtually and remotely with as little contact with the public as possible. So you can imagine it's like, you know, taking an aircraft carrier and asking it to turn on a dime. But we were with long hours and a lot of work and dedication from the team and from everybody that has joined on this phone call from the county. We were able to make it happen. You know, so we went to a completely virtual model, which included, you know, electronic submittals. So we had to transition, you know, all the paper plans and transition those into, and find a way of transitioning those into electronic formats that we can still upload and get to our reviewers. All our plan examiners and all of the staff, really 300 plus people, needed to be able to be equipped and to be able to work from home. And we had about a week to accomplish that, and we managed to do that. As far as permit issuance, you know, try to enhance our online capabilities, make sure that that we're able to pay permits online, be able to issue them online. So, you know, it had a ripple effect throughout the whole process and our workflow going virtual. And then finally, you know, part of the executive order gave us 3 options for inspection processes, which was, you know, qualified professionals, whether they be engineers or architects, virtual inspections, which was something very, very new to us. And then finally, you know, certain limited on-site inspections for certain types of processes. And all that information is available on our website. And maybe Gilbert, when he comes on, he could talk a little bit about that. All our customer service initiatives, like our concierge service, our design professional meetings, our supervisors list, our inspectors list, where people were accustomed to coming in and meeting in person, all that has now started to go. First telephone conferences, and now next week we'll launch all those virtually. So there's been a lot of changes, a lot of training, and a lot of dependence on technology right now to try to keep the industry, keep our services going and keep this industry going. I mean, I think that's it in a nutshell. I know that Angelique is on. She's our permit and information division director. She could talk a little bit about the intake process and the submittal process, and then Gilbert can talk a little bit about the plans review and the inspections. So I'm going to turn this over to Angelique to kind of take the conversation further. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Eddie. As Eddie has stated, the Permitting and Inspection Center has gone into a virtual model of the way we do service. And as such, all of our functions have now gone to, you know, online method. That being said, the first and most important is in regards to submissions of brand new permit applications and corrections for existing reworks, okay, for existing applications. New applications, as we stated, for roofing, building, electrical, mechanical, fire alarms, fire sprinklers, all of that can be submitted via our online portal. I have provided on the chat 3 links. The first link is the temporary procedures. This is our web page where you could find all of our temporary procedures while we are in this COVID-19 pandemic. The second link I provided was, again, the online submission portal that allows you guys to electronically submit plans to us, okay? And the last link I have provided are the guidelines, and I recommend that everybody please read the instructions and the guidelines, because that will assist in providing you your upload as easily as possible. So what happens with our online submission is once you submit online, you are given now what's called a UP number, and that's your upload number. And for many of you who are familiar with our plans tracking system,
you can track the status of that UP number, okay? So that UP number goes to a permit clerk who will review your submission and make sure that you have everything following the guidelines, which is a completed permit application, a contact sheet. If you are submitting, you know, documents that they're named correctly, and that there's no corrupt files, please, you know, when you do a PDF, make sure that it's flattened, similar to our, you know, our current concurrent plan processing guidelines. You know, 1 PDF per page, no layers, flattened. If it is approved and everything's there, it gets automatically, they will issue you a process number and upload the documents into the system. You will be emailed a process number for you to pay the upfront fees. And then once those are paid, it gets queued into all the required reviews. When you are submitting a rework, it's the same thing. It's gonna ask you to please put that process number. We ask that in the contact sheet, you please place who you want it to go to. And we then upload it automatically. If it is denied for any reason, you will get an email back stating it was denied. And again, you could go into that portal, putting that UP number, and you could find out why it was denied. It states whether it be permit application incorrect, need further information, or sometimes what happens in a rework is you have a file that's already named correctly, and we cannot upload it because of the file. That is in regards to the uploads of plans. You know, you could always go online for subsidiary permits tied to a master. We encourage you to do those online. For residential roofings, you know, those could be done online. You don't even have to require plan submittal. That's in regards to that. I saw somebody asked a question regarding paper plans. If your paper plans are in storage already, you can request to come pick them up on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays and Thursdays, the pick is open via appointment for certain functions, and those functions are to pick up your paper plans that were either completed and just have been in storage, to come pay for any permits fees that you have. If some of you have some municipal plans that were in paper and you just need the Durham stamp, and if you need to speak to HRS. But a lot of our models, and Gilbert will talk about that, is, you know, our design professional days now will be done virtually. So that could help you guys still, you know, you still have the function of meeting with our plan reviewers on Monday design professional days. Does anybody have any questions?
Well, why don't we wait until after people are sending the chat in, and we'll go through and you know, read them out for everyone.
Perfect. Perfect. So then I'll hand it off to Gilbert, who will talk about plan review and design professional days.
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. This is Gilbert. Glad to be with you guys this morning, and the opportunity that you guys have afforded us to be able to inform the community basically of what it is that we're doing and how we're getting the work done. At the beginning of this, like Mr. Rojas was saying, we knew that anything that we did that impacted the construction industry had to be dealt with directly and at that moment. So we were able to implement all these platforms, all these procedures in order to get to ensure that we still address the needs of the industry and that the process will not stop. Having said that, I know that Angelique was mentioning about the links that she had uploaded. Many of you might not be able to get to those because they might have been either uploaded earlier in the conversation or later. I'm seeing a lot of that in there. But I went ahead and I clipped them again. So hopefully they should be available for everyone to follow. I'm going to talk about plan review. Basically, the plan review process hasn't really changed. Many of you are familiar with the electronic file submittals, what we call the CPP, concurrent plans processing. That has remained virtually the same, except that there are two ways that the plans are being uploaded. The two distinctive distinctions, basically, the two distinctions that are basically involved in plan submittal were the plans that were usually uploaded via a vendor, which was our Blue Digital vendor. Those plans, we still continue to accept those plans. Usually the way that I remember that you guys, the industry would send it would be a one set that would be digitally converted by our vendor. And that later on got uploaded into the plan reviewers' individual queues for review. That system has been modified in as much as that we're not using the vendors at this moment. We're having you directly upload those plans into our website, but we request an additional affidavit to be signed and filled out, where you are hereby authorizing us to review the plans based on the fact that you are the authorization, the ultimate authorization, or the person that has authorized the work to be submitted to us, and that you are that person submitting the plans, the design professional. Now, those are for the people who don't submit with a digital signature or electronic signature. For those who do submit an electronic signature, that again has remained pretty much the same, except that now instead of bringing a CD into the building, those measures have changed now to the point where we're accepting it again through the portal. And the plan, once that happens, the plans will be digitally uploaded into the individual queue of the plans reviewers, and we will proceed to do as we always have done. Obviously, and we did mention, speaking about plan support when it comes to these, our plan reviewers are available online. So, and we have established the Microsoft Teams platform so that we can enable you guys to be able to hold our meetings, our Monday appointments that we've always done with the professionals. All that is available, and will be, like Mr. Rojas was saying, will be launched for Monday. We're making strides in trying to get this as streamlined as possible to enable the industry to communicate with us, as I believe that that's ultimately the most important thing, is to keep the lines of communication open. So based on all that, I'm going to start talking about inspections. As Mr. Rojas also said, we have implemented a virtual platform, again, using the same Microsoft Teams software. We have set it up so that our inspectors, when they come in early in the morning, they call the respective contractors who have placed their inspection the day before. That has not changed, of course. What has changed is that the next day, the individual inspector, depending on the trade or whatever type of inspection it is, will contact the respective contractor on the other side, will ensure that they're prepared to accept the meeting, and the preparations that are needed, the paperwork, all that information that is needed for a virtual inspection will be in place at the time that the inspector agrees or coordinates to be able to place that inspection together with the contractor in the field. One of the things that have obviously are challenging is the possibility of being able to carry these inspections as before. Now, obviously, there are challenges involved. There are difficulties involved in being able to ascertain the conditions on the field and the type of work that needs to be inspected. But there are several types of inspections that actually do fit that model quite nicely. And we've been very successful in implementing those throughout. I believe that the industry has also cooperated in an amazing way, and I'm thankful for that. That at the other end, at the receiving end of the inspections, the industry seems to be accepting of the system with however challenges they come up. I think that we're able to get them ironed out little by little. And again, I think the more that it's done, the better both sides will become at it, good at it, and we'll be able to continue at least throughout this time. Because one of our first, actually our most important thing to keep in mind is the safety of everyone. The less we expose people out there to the inspections, the less we enable a system that promotes one-on-one interchange, which at this time is not feasible and is dangerous. We're trying to do the best we can to try to keep both the contractor at the end and us safe throughout the process. I'm not saying that that doesn't create some challenges like I mentioned before, but it's something that we're working ourselves through. And again, I want to let everybody know that it is our endeavor and our primary of importance, our most important action is basically to ensure that the industry continues the work. Construction is a vital county projection. It's the type of work that is done out there. It's vital to the economy of the county. So we felt that from day one, we had to jump on it, and we had to be able to enable the industry to interact with us to the best scope possible, so that the system would not be hindered by this epidemic. I believe that's generally what I would like to say. Again, we're going to be leaving links and information so you can contact us for any additional questions and concerns. And I'm going to hand over the meeting back to the ladies here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was great. So let's go now to, and I just want to remind everyone that we are going to go through and go through all the questions that you guys are putting in the chat. We'll do that at the end. So I'm going to turn it over to Nathan. You're up.
Hi, thank you, Cheryl. I appreciate that. For those of you who don't know me, I'm in charge of zoning, and I also oversee plating at Miami-Dade County. We deal with all public hearings, administrative zoning applications, plating applications. We also do urban design and legislation. We are actually in a very good position. We were in a good position before this crisis. Almost all of our zoning capabilities can be done online through our InterGov system, which we developed in 2016. So we're maintaining pretty much the same level of service. All zoning applications, whether they're for a public hearing or for an administrative application, such as an ASBR or administrative adjustment, those can be submitted through our system electronically. We distribute those plans electronically to our reviewers, and everybody's doing their review online, and we'll communicate with you pretty much in the same way we're communicating now. We also have some meetings that we're doing remotely. So our pre-application meetings, which I know some of you are familiar with, those are submitted, and then typically the following week we convene a meeting. We are holding those through either Teams or Zoom, or through a conference call, depending on what capabilities that you have. Again, those are meetings that benefit the development community prior to a zoning application being submitted. So if an applicant wants to forego that meeting and just accept those comments, all comments are again available through our InterGov system. With regards to plating, we were able to utilize Zoom to do our plat committee meetings, which are held every Friday. We did miss 2 of them while we were working with the legal team to figure out how we can do this, but we do have that now. So all all plating applications are moving forward with plat committee. It's the final stage, getting to final plat and getting those plats to the Board of County Commissioners is a little bit tricky. They're slow to get to the board. However, we're starting to get them scheduled for hearings. So I think on May 5th, we have another agenda. BCC, we have several items there. Now, where we have our Achilles heel is on the submittal of platting applications. So everything now is done at the downtown office. However, we've just now created the abilities, very similar to what they did in the building department, to submit plans electronically through, it's our InterGov system. We have a small PowerPoint presentation on the platting website, as well as instructions on how to submit. Now, it doesn't track your application. It simply is an electronic mechanism for you to upload those documents so we can then review it. Now, we do a manual review, and we communicate with you kind of the old-fashioned way, not through our InterGov system, but nevertheless, you're able to submit almost all your platting documents through the InterGov system, so you don't need to drop off your tentative plats and your paving and drainage. That can be done through the system. Now, the only document that we can't take electronically is the final plat, the Mylar plat, which has to be submitted at the Stephen P. Clark Center downtown. We do have staff there 2-3 times a week. It's just as simple as calling in and scheduling an appointment for the submittal. We're almost ready to roll out our full paving and drainage review. This is aside from this, where all paving and drainage reviews will be done through Bluebeam, and that will be 100% electronic. That is coming out soon, and we're going to come out to the industry to do some demonstrations. But for now, for platting submittals, if you go to the Miami-Dade RER under zoning and then click onto platting, once you click onto platting and scroll down, you'll see the instructions on how to submit. And again, there's a small PowerPoint presentation on how to submit those platting items. And of course, we're always happy to answer any questions. You know, looking forward to getting back. Thank you.
Thanks, Nathan. And don't forget, people, just put your questions in the chat and we'll go through them after our next speaker, Jerry Bell.
Sure.
Jerry?
Hi, so Jerry Bell, I'm the Assistant Director for Planning for RER. So in this capacity, I oversee the planning division, and we provide services related to growth management, historic preservation, economic and demographic analyses, sustainability planning, and transportation development. And we do this mainly through our Comprehensive Development Master Plan, or our Cdnp. So the Cdnp, if you're familiar with it, is really the county's big picture planning document. It provides the foundation for and is implemented through the more detailed zoning regulations that Nathan oversees, through the code, through neighborhood plans. So all of those more detailed plans and regulations, though, do have to be consistent with the Cdnp. So it's kind of like the constitution for development and conservation in the county. So unlike a lot of our more public-facing divisions of RER, planning has had an easier time transitioning to this, to the new reality we're in. Generally speaking, though, planning does come in at the very front end of the process. The first question that should be asked when you're proposing a development on a parcel is it consistent with the Cdnp? So in order to help with that, we offer a planner of the day service. Anyone calling or in the old days stopping by the office will be directed to the planner of the day who could answer the more general Cdnp questions for them. We're still offering that service. All anybody needs to do is call our main number, 305-375-2835, and we will get back to you with a time certain at which the planner of the day will contact you and be able to answer your questions. For the more complicated questions, or if you want a response in writing, we suggest you get a letter of interpretation or a planning letter. Recently, we've been doing a lot of these letters for development in the smart plan corridors because because a letter is necessary to determine the density and intensity and the mix of uses that can be done. So we've been getting a lot of those. We do offer 2 types of letters. There is a standard letter, in which case you can expect a response in 30 days or maybe up to 60 days for a more complicated question. We also offer an expedited letter, and that's a 15-day letter. And that's for double the fee, though. So we basically, there's no interruption in service for these letters. Before, you could email a request, and we would get back to you with an invoice. We still do it that way. We also can do it online through the InterGov system. The planning division, we also accept applications to amend our CDNP. We have 3 cycles a year. It's January, May, and October. So regular applications that are filed during one of these cycles generally take about, for a small scale amendment, about 6 months. For a standard amendment, which is larger scale, over 10 acres or a text, 9 months. So those are the 3 amendments. But a couple of years ago, we did come up with a new expedited CDNP amendment process, and those can be filed at any time of the year. And we basically cut the time in half. So for a small scale amendment, we've gone from 6 to 3 months, from filing to final action by the BCC. For a large scale amendment, we've gone from 9 months to about 6 months. We're continuing to offer these services. We've got it set up now where the May cycle, starting in the May cycle, you will be able to file it completely online. If you call us in our office, we'll direct you through that process. And just the fees for the expedited cycle, the one that cuts the time in half and that you can file at any time though, is 2.5 times the regular filing fees. So it is a more expensive process, but it does cut a lot of the time out of it. And we will be able to continue that with no interruption as well. So the one challenge that we're gearing up for is how we're going to handle our public hearings, depending on how long this current situation goes. In the event that the governor's order is extended past May 8th, it's very likely that we'll be conducting our CDNP public hearings on Zoom, our community council hearings, planning advisory board, as well as the BCC hearings. So stay tuned. Thank you.
Thanks, Jerry. I have a question. Is the Planners Technical Committee still meeting?
Yes, they are. They're still meeting once a month. Ryan Shedd from City of Miami is the chair.
Ryan is still the chair? Okay.
He's still the chair, last I heard, yes. Yes.
Okay, so why don't we go now to Q&A. So one question, I think this is from Rick Ruiz. When naming other PDFs for plan submittal, i.e. letter of authorization, NOA, etc., what is the required nomenclature that we should adhere to?
I'll let Angelique take that one.
Yeah, that information is available on our website. It's our CPP guidelines. You could put letter of authorization, NOA. You could put NOA, and you could put either the NOA number or the NOA for Windows, Windows NOA. Please note that anything that is a multi-package, I'll use an example, structural calculations or NOAs, those can be submitted as one document. You don't need to submit the individual sheets. Those can be submitted as one document. Same as calculations. Those could be submitted, whether it's your energy calcs or your structural calcs. Those could be submitted as one document. What needs to be submitted as individual sheets are obviously your design sheets, your A's, your P's, your M's, your E's, your civils and your structurals.
Great.
I'd like to add to that. One of the things that we ask you guys to do for us, if possible, if that would really, really help all of us, is please date your sheets. Since we get reworks off and on, all of them get bundled up in the same submittal because we keep track of everything together. The history is there on our CPP review queue. So any work that you guys submit, especially reworks, we would appreciate it very highly that that the date is incorporated in there. Today would be 04/29/20, something like that. It goes a long way, and it really helps us out to be able to ascertain which ones are the newer files. I mean, there's other ways of doing that, but the date is always a great way to start. Thank you.
Thanks. So a couple of people have asked, after the pandemic issues are over, will all of this electronic and virtual procedures remain in place?
I'll answer that one, at least from the building permitting perspective. So the one positive thing that's come out of this whole kind of health dilemma that we're in is the opportunity to shake away some complacency and some process that may have not been otherwise considered. I think this is an opportunity for us to to eliminate the vulnerabilities that we've realized as well. You know, paper process is slower, and we're vulnerable to it in the event that something else comes up. I think that we are looking to see what are the best things that we are offering right now, what are the best the pros to all this new process, and see what we can improve on and make it a standard operating practice into the future. I think with regards to the inspections, like Gilbert had mentioned, there are some, after sitting through hours and hours and hours of these virtual inspections, I think there are some that fit that model, that can create efficiency. And there are others that maybe the technology may not quite be there yet, that we may have to shelve until the process is improved. But I think overall, the strategic kind of goal for the department, at least is the way I'm kind of looking at it, is to see how much of this stuff we can continue. I think just for overall efficiency of our operations.
And to add to that, on the zoning and plating side, I could say with 100% confidence that the goal is to be 100% electronic. So all submittals are submitted through some type of system and tracked through a system. On the other hand, we're finding that using Zoom and Teams, the collaboration with design professionals on applications is really, really beneficial. So I'll get on a meeting with Jerry on the planning side, and we'll have an architect, a developer, an engineer, and we're going through plans and throwing different ideas on the screen, looking at zoning history and planning history, and it's going to eliminate for sure some of these in-house meetings. But what concerns me, or I guess is a question going forward, is that everything that we do is a public record. So I would think that these meetings that we have, where we think are these informal meetings that somebody's doing due diligence, may end up being a public record where we've never intended to be. So that's, I think, something I think on your side of the industry needs to think about, where if you're discussing a client's project with a government official over Teams that they don't want public yet, and you've talked about it, that might be a recorded meeting or a meeting that gets saved on somebody's calendar, and who knows, how that can be used. So I think the question moving forward is, when we do some of these collaborative type meetings, whether or not that becomes a full-fledged public record.
Yeah, that'll be something above all of our pay grades that'll have to be decided. And then, people have to remember that everything is being recorded. I've seen this question before, and I don't think there's really an answer to this other than probably, my answer would be probably not, but each municipality has its own naming convention. Is there a way to develop a universal naming convention and platform? And, somehow I doubt that is ever going to happen.
Unfortunately not, because everybody has their own. We do have 8 municipalities that participate in our concurrent plans processing. And for those that do, we have provided the naming convention to them to help us, when they're submitting. But it's not to say that they follow it. We have provided them as samples, but again, each municipality has their own, and I understand the frustration, and I apologize for that.
No need to apologize. That's definitely not your fault. Another question: what is the max capacity allowed to be uploaded per document or PDF?
The maximum allowed is 250, I think it's megabytes is what it is right now. We are looking at trying to make it a little bit more bandwidth in regards to allowing greater capacity. But for right now, it's 250, big MB.
Do the application forms still have to be originally signed and notarized? There is no way of doing this electronically, and notaries are not readily available.
Unfortunately, yes, they still need to be signed and notarized. That has been brought up and we're looking for solutions. Maybe, you know, if you're doing a dry run, that as long as it's signed but not notarized yet, it's just that maybe at the end, you know, be able to have it notarized. But we are looking for information on that. And Lynette, I'll let you know on that information. I'll send you an email to let you know.
Okay, great. How do we upload reworks once we receive your comments?
Again, you would go into the submission portal, but instead of this time selecting new application, you will select rework. It would ask you to put in either the tracking number or the process number. So you would put in either one of those, and then you would upload your records. And then as Gilbert stated, and I did put a link to our concurrent plans processing, the naming convention, it will then, as Gilbert suggested, that's the date you put on your rework submission. So let's say, for example, you would put today's date, as Gilbert said. So you would put A1 sheet 04/29. So that way everybody knows that is the newest A1 sheet.
Great. Then if from Nati Soto, saying, if I heard correctly, zoning or platting would like the sheet file names include a date. I believe that building would like the revision sheets to have the same exact name as the originally submitted file. Is this correct? It would be great to have an overall standard.
I don't know about zoning, but with ours, it has always been that, like I said, you put A1 and the date, and then if you need to submit a rework, you would put A1 and then the new date.
Nathan? Or Jerry?
Yeah, no, we don't have that date. It's just a well, I mean, you're going to put the new date. It's just a resubmittal. We're not as particular as building.
Okay. Then we have another, I assume private providers follow these same procedures. I'm not sure what if that's something you guys are addressing.
Can they elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, that's Danilo. While that's happening, from Luis Rodriguez, the fire department reviewer followed the same naming method, and what is the time limit for drawing review from fire? I know you guys aren't, there's nobody here directly from fire, but can you answer that?
Yes, and there was one from before regarding a revision to be submitted as a new application.
Oh, right.
Rick, the one in regards to that, there is new permit application, there's a rework, and then there's a revision and shop drawings. So you would go under a revision to the permit, and then you would put the permit number. So depending, those are the 3 items that you use for in the plan type. So I hope that answers your question. In regards to the fire department reviewer, yes, they do. If it's Miami-Dade County Fire, yes, they do follow the same naming conventions because all those documents are uploaded into our system. So, and they are part of our plan review process. What is the time limit for them to review? That's set by administrative order. If I remember correctly, fire has 9 business days to do commercial reviews.
Great, thanks. Then for rework, do you need to resubmit the affidavit?
If you are scanning hard paper sets of plans, yes, every time you submit, you would need to submit that affidavit. Yes.
Thanks. What will be your new time frame for digital plan review? And by the way, you guys are doing great in keeping us all going with our projects. That's from Lynette Arias.
Let me jump in. This is Gilbert.
Good.
The time frame remains the same. Again, like Angelique mentioned, that is set by the ordinance. The time limit may be faster nowadays. Obviously, as we start ramping up with the amount of work that starts coming in and pouring into the office, we'll be able to obviously stay within the mandates of the time limits. And Angelique gave you an example: fire 9 days. In my case, building, commercial 3 days, residential 2 days, without being a walkthrough, which is a project that's under $100,000, which are done from one day to the next. But the time is staying the same. I believe that, as it was mentioned before, the present conditions have enabled us to be able to do an amazing job, I believe, because I keep hearing it everywhere, of communication between professionals and the plan reviewers. I believe that that's enabled us to be able to assist better. So I'm actually, I would like to thank obviously Angelique and the IT staff, especially, and Mr. Rojas, who's from the onset of this situation, they worked arduously, I mean, weekends, nights, to try to enable, because we always had our present, our mission was to always enable and assist the construction industry to as not to create a situation that would create a problem for the construction industry in Miami. Thank you.
Sure, thanks. So we have
Cheryl, if you like, if actually for those, because the plans are going electronically, they're going concurrently to everybody. So I'm going to use an example. So it gets queued on everybody's queue at the same time. So where paper used to go sequentially. So I'll use an example. It used to go to zoning. Zoning had a number of days before, then it would go to DERM. Then DERM had a number of days before it went to, so, you know, commercials used to take up to 50 days, where now it's going concurrently because it's going electronically to everybody's queue at the same time. So that is one of the major pluses of doing this electronic system. So you're actually going to get your comments and your reviews probably a little bit faster.
That's great. As a follow-up to that question that we weren't clear about, sometimes the county allows plan reviews to be done via private provider companies. Will those companies follow the same procedures in interacting with the county?
Yes, they should. And, you know, they have been. You know, when they do their submittals, they come back and then they do their submittals, and then it goes to those agencies that require, that have regional jurisdiction, fire, DERM, WASD, and impact fees. But yes, they understand the procedures, and we have several of them that have reached out to us.
Great. We have just 5 more minutes, and I have 2 questions we want to right now. One is, how do we submit a rework for a project that was originally submitted as hard copy and is not currently available for electronic plan review in the Ibuild system?
Well, the Ibuild system, I'm assuming, is that eBuilders, or are you talking about our system? If you're talking about our system, what you would have to do is you would have to scan that hard copy set, and you could scan it as one document and put reference, and then any new submittals you could do electronically and submit it through the system. But what you do with that hard copy set is put it as reference. If it was already permitted. If it was not, then you would have to do each individual sheet, name it, and include the PDF. And specifically when it's a hard copy, please take the back, scan the back page that had all the previous stamps. If you go to the original link I gave you regarding temporary procedures, it does it a little bit more detail of what we would need. I just gave you a little summary.
Great. And one final, I'm in the denial stage. Can you ask the plan reviewers to add their email contact along with that, because he received emails, he received things without their email, so.
Yes, I will reiterate it to them. I understand. I see Gilbert and Eddie laughing because I say that every meeting we have. Guys, remember, they can call you. You can, if by any chance still have their telephone numbers, you can leave a voicemail. They are checking their voicemails as well, so they do call the customer back. But I do tell them all the time that please put in your emails so that the customers can reach out to you. But yes, I will do that again, Mr. Ruiz. No problem.
If I can just also add that one of the things that, you know, again, it's been stressed over and over again is, you know, we need to, you know, during this crazy time, we need to be able to be consistent, and we need to be, you know, responsive is the biggest thing. And responsive meaning answering phone calls, answering our emails, checking our messages, and responding to the customer in a timely manner. This whole process change and this workflow change of not being able to come into the building and transact business has created other points or other areas that have become hotspots. And it's really, you know, phone calls and email have been the way of communicating, and it's very us. And it's something that we stress all the time. So just to complement what Angelique was saying is that, you know, I stress at every meeting. I tell them I believe it's very important for us to be able to, you know, at least bring a little bit of certainty to this process, that you're going to get an answer as quickly as possible.
Well, thank you, Eddie. And thank you to everyone on the panel. You guys were great. Thanks for all. We had 70 participants on this call. If we need to, we can do a follow-up. Maybe we can impose upon you maybe once things start opening up again and with the issues and questions that people may have at that time. And I just wanted to turn it over for a final couple of words from Daphne.
Thank you, Cheryl. And I just want to say thank you to everybody from Miami-Dade County Building and Zoning for participating in this very important phone call. Clearly, communication is the key, especially during COVID-19. And thank you to everybody that took their time to call in today. And we really do want to hear from you. So if you have any ideas, suggestions for other topics, please shoot us an email or take this opportunity in the chat to send your ideas. Thank you. Thank you. And again.
Also, we will be posting the video from this and the chat questions on our website, hopefully by tomorrow. And we'll have a link that we'll send to all of the registrants so you can see that. So thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.